Golic and Golic on FanDuel. He just wrapped up his show with his dad, and he pops on the Nate Brown Show this Wednesday talking college football. Mike Golic Jr. is in, a lot to hit with him. Go over to Minnesota. Thor Nystrom's on. Thor Nystrom's still living that life of the J.J. McCarthy fan club. I want to get his read. J.J. McCarthy, where do we stand? He's been the number one guy on J.J. Where does he stand now with this Vikings controversy if Carson Wentz keeps winning? Thor Nystrom's in from Fantasy Life and Score North out of Minneapolis. He's on tap, NFL college football analyst. And James Merilatt's on. Is James Merilatt always been right? He's got those hats that say James Merilatt's right about everything. When it comes to the Broncos, is that it? James Merilatt from denversports.com on the 1 and 2 Broncos. He is on tonight. So we got you covered across the board, high school to college to the pros. Thought-provoking sports talk, questions of the day. I'm on a flyer today. I'm doing good today. 5 hours of sleep, and then I had my blood work for my annual checkup today. I'm telling all you guys. Do you guys get an annual checkup? I made a promise to my family. We're going to get an annual checkup. Take things serious now. And I've only been doing this the last few years. I got to be honest. So, little PSA from the Nate Brown Show. As we all get older, I've seen some young, healthy guys not do so well. So, get that annual checkup. Like me, okay? A little PSA for you, and hope you're doing well. So I'm cooking tonight. I am cooking. We'll get after it. Let's get you on. 605-720-1067 is our number. 605-720-1067. That's the Pizza Ranch studio hotline, powered by the Pizza Ranch. Locations across South Dakota at East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Stop by the one in Brandon tonight. And your favorite buffet is also 2 locations in Rapid City. The Pizza Ranch Buffet, locally owned and operated, and home of everyone's favorite buffet. So the Barron's-Wilson text line also open for you as well, 605-720-1067. Same number. If you can't call, you can text the show, 605-720-1067. All right, so this is interesting. I saw this story today. You know, we cover a lot of high school sports stories here, youth sports, and we're kind of all in that, right? Us guys that have been having kids, or you do right now, and you've coached, and you've been all over. I get a lot of text messages on the text line from parents that have coached, that have watched their sons and daughters play. And so a lot of youth sports topics here. This one jumps out to me today. There is a push by some states. There's actually some states that are looking at starting a government branch, like, yes, government support, government oversight, calling it the distinct Department of Youth Sports. There are some states that are looking at doing this and putting some work into this, some funding into it, they're looking at studies on, hey, what could we do if we had a Department of Youth Sports? And what they're meaning by this is implementing policies that are statewide to govern youth sports, make sure there's safety involved, and all of the stuff there. So policy, guidance, and in some aspects maybe legislation to have youth sports governed, and there be some consistency and some access for kids. And so there's all sorts of things that, what would a Department of Youth Sports look like? By the way, South Dakota is not one of those states that's looking at it. But I will ask you, I don't know if we'd ever go for that here in South Dakota. Hey, let's start a Department of Youth Sports and figure out exactly what we need to do to improve youth sports and access and affordability and the participation rates and the physical activity, and how can we get this cranked up. I don't think we would do that in South Dakota. That's just my guess. We try and keep things tight, right? Try and keep the budget tight, and I think a lot of people would push back on the statewide and say, we got a Department of Youth Sports when we should be figuring out this and this and this and property taxes and the whole thing, and you don't want to get us started. So I get where we're at, but there is some states that are doing this. So I bring this out and I say, is there any legitimacy to making it that important when it comes to focusing on getting youth active, involved in sports, and so it doesn't turn into a total pay-for-play deal? And are there some efforts there that you would support government looking at if you were in one of these states that says, hey, we're going to try and do this better, maybe do some legislative action, maybe have a specific Department of Youth Sports? Would you support a study to at least look, hey, maybe we could actually improve the landscape for our families, for our kids? And there are a lot of kids, by the way, even in South Dakota, that get left behind because there are certain aspects that they can't get into the sports category. It's too expensive, and the travel and whatever else there is. There's some rec stuff, but that's what this is all about. Some of these states say, we've got to crank up this overall aspect of, do we have enough organization and regulations that youth sports in a state is being consistently operated? There's some clear-cut expectations there, and they can get into it from a government side, that then it's not just every club doing their own thing. Well, we do this and we don't do that, and there's no rules here and there's no rules there. That's what this would be. So this is interesting. Story came out that states are looking at doing, some of these states have looked, Colorado, Alabama, California, Minnesota. They haven't yet started a Department of Youth Sports, but they have been thinking about how can we do a better job from a state government standpoint of helping our kids play youth sports. And so I asked this question tonight on the Nate Brown Show. I asked this question. Maybe you don't want government to create a Department of Youth Sports. Maybe you don't. And I don't know exactly how this would all work. Would it be a proper way to spend money and invest in our youth? How serious should we think youth sports are for kids to have a great adult life? And that's where I'm kind of taking this. It's easy to poo-poo stuff, and I get it. I mean, there's a lot of important things in our lives and government and how they don't do this well or don't do that well. How important, how beneficial are youth sports for kids to become productive adults in life? I'm going to tell you, I think playing sports is really important. I think it's really important to be a quality adult in life. And I'll tell you why coming up. Let's take your call. Thanks for getting in. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate. Thanks for having me. The other thing that I think gets overlooked in all of this, like when we talk about like youth sports, higher education, is how much, like, you can put a little money towards something like this and it brings so much more money back in like sales tax revenue and things like that that people never talk about. Everyone always just talks about like expense, like, oh no, we can't put $380 million to higher education in South Dakota or whatever. It's like so much money, but how much money do like sports and universities bring back to the economy of South Dakota and other states? I think it's an investment in the future
in the long run
for many reasons.
Yeah.
But
okay, in the long run, big picture. You say big picture, this pays off.
And it's great for kids too. Yeah, I think like the more kids that get involved with sports, socialization better. It just teaches them good habits, like, and everything going along as growing up in someone that played youth sports and still plays sports and loves sports.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for getting in.
Yep.
I think that's why some of the states are actually looking at this, saying, okay, there's one thing about policies and guidance and kind of some legislation to make sure youth sports are operated correctly and there's not any shenanigans going on in the state. So I think that's where this stuff started. But then they look at the benefit of, do we want the maximum number of kids playing sports that you can get in a state? Should we focus some time and effort and resources on making sure that our early childhood kids are getting access to playing rec sports and this interest and that interest? So some of the states have looked at it. One today, putting a study together to actually start a Department of Youth Sports. A Department of Youth Sports. So let me ask you this. Big question of the day. Big picture. How beneficial is it for kids and their future to experience youth sports and competition. Okay, I'm not talking about some of the wild, I got to travel to this tournament, travel here and travel there. I'm just telling you, I'm just asking you, how beneficial is it for kids, for their future, to experience youth sports and competition? Not every kid's going to be an athlete. I'm not telling you that. But there could be a lot more kids playing sports, and that's what some of these states have said is, do we have the right avenue? Is it open and ready to go in every community? Can we put some muscle behind this to make sure kids that are from less fortunate backgrounds, that don't have those opportunities, to make sure that they're there? We put some resources into this. So I think it's really beneficial. You may be surprised. I think it's really beneficial, and I think most of you think, well, no, it's really beneficial. We don't think about it in South Dakota. In our state, it's like, I think most everybody can play. I would argue caution on that. I've seen it myself. I think you might be right when you say most everybody can play, but not everybody. Various backgrounds, various scenarios where you'd be surprised in South Dakota. Well, none of the small towns, but some of the bigger population areas, there's kids that fall through the cracks. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I've got my top three. I've got my top three activities for kids to become quality adults. I told you I was on a roll today. I thought about this today because I can't just say it's very beneficial to play sports and not think about what I want my own kids to be when they grow up here. So I was thinking about this. Top three activities for kids to become great adults. That's what our goal is, right? For all of us to be actually serviceable citizens and serving others and having good lives and taking care of our families and our communities. That's what we should be. Can sports be a part of that, actually? I'm talking big picture now. Does sports land in the top three activities for kids to help mold them into good adults? That's another question on a side note here tonight. Because we were talking about it in the office today. I said, hey, if you think about the most important things for kids to be focused on, for your kids to be focused on, most important things for them to be focused on, would sports be in your top three to make them be a solid adult later in life? For me, it is. It's in my top three, and I can't really think of that many other things. I'm going to tell you my top three activities for kids to become solid adults. This is for my own kids. You can take this for what it's worth. You can tell me what's missing from this scenario. Number one, I said academics and learning comes first, but I'm not just talking school. But I am talking, you better be learning. Yes, that's school, but yes, that's volunteerism. That's learning from other people, helping people you don't know that aren't like you. So I said, you better be learning across the board. That's number one. That's number one. So people say sports isn't. No, it's not first. Learn. School to volunteerism to that whole big picture, how you can help people you don't know. Okay? Number two, family has to be your thing. As a kid, I'm talking you have to be an active, contributing member focused on your family. Family. That means mow the lawn for your folks. That means, hey, go spend time with your grandparents. You got to spend time with your grandparents. You might learn something, by the way. Support your siblings. Don't just sit there and play Roblox. I'm serious. Support your siblings. They're out playing a game. You got to go and do this. So be an active member of your family. I think that's two for me. I said learn, family, focus on your family. I'm talking now as a kid. And I put sports in my top three as an activity that will benefit you in the long term. Hard work. Don't give up. Be a good teammate. Learn to work with others that you don't know, that you don't like. All of those things, that's where the sports comes in. So people always say, I don't know is every kid going to be playing sports? No, not every kid's going to be playing sports. Is sports important enough for state governments to actually have a focus on to make sure kids have access to it. That's the debate of the day. And some say, not bigger government, not that. But maybe it's already in a, early childhood department. Maybe it's in the Department of Education. I don't know where it goes. But it's a sports aspect need to be looked at. Some states today say yes. Let's see here. I said this, learn, by the way. And by the way, that learning might not be in school. It might be in your church, right? Whichever church you go to. So it might be in church. It might be down at the homeless shelter, learning, serving, right? So that's what I mean by learn. It's not just school. It's not just, I have to get good grades. I'm talking learn the lessons of life through various experiences, through school, academics, volunteerism, church, service. But sports for me is still in there. Sports for me is still in the top 3. Let's see. How beneficial is sports for kids to lead a good life? That's my question of the day. Not a surprise on the Nate Brown Show tonight. 88% of my audience says it's very important. Sports for kids, very important to lead a solid adult life. 88%. 12% say sports not really that important. Mike Golic Jr. gets us started tonight. College football analyst. His show is Golic and Golic on FanDuel. We'll revisit this. A lot to come tonight on the Nate Brown Show. Mike Golic Jr. coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Stock up for less on work and home essentials with another great week of Fleet Farm deals. Like 40 pounds of KT Basic Blend Bird Food for just $16.99. And Diamond Crystal Iron Fighter Softener Salt for only $7.29 a bag. Plus, get a $25 Fleet Farm gift card free when you buy $100 worth of Keen, Carhartt, or Timberland Pro footwear. Count on Fleet Farm to deliver the goods at the best prices guaranteed. And find even more weekly deals at fleetfarm.com.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
The countdown is on at Spearfish Motors. We're closing out the last of our 2025 models. Find incredible discounts on 25 GMC 1500 with total savings up to $7,250, or drive home a brand new 25 Sierra HD starting at just $52,630. Shop a great selection of GMC Canyon, Terrain, Acadia, or Yukon. But hurry, this limited inventory won't last long. Spearfish GMC Cadillac, locally trusted and always online at spearfishmotors.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Attention football fans, the BetMGM Sportsbook at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort has it all. Watch your team on massive high-definition screens while enjoying live betting. Keep some skin in the game even when the odds don't go your way. Enter Jack's Second Chance Mulligan Drawing by dropping your losing ticket for a shot at up to $200 in Cadillac cash every week. Satisfy your craving with mouth-watering Mexican cuisine from Guadalajara's, or choose from 4 other food vendors, all while sipping on your favorite drinks. The BetMGM Sportsbook at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort. How will your game play out?
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Ample sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 81. Southerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 54. Tonight, clear skies. Tomorrow, high of 85. Sunny skies and dry Friday and Saturday, mid-80s. Friday, upper 70s by Saturday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, it's 78 degrees.
Whether you're a pro or a Joe, a weekend warrior or a gardening great, Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here when you need us. Nobody plans an injury, but when people throughout the Black Hills life they've lost due to an injury, arthritis, or joint wear and tear. Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for everyday athletes like you.
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just look good doing it, Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear, Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
Hey, welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live. Packed tonight. James Merilatt's joining us live from Denver. Coming up, talking Broncos, denversports.com. Hang on for Thor Nystrom. He's in tonight. Fantasy Life, college football, NFL. We'll go to the Twin Cities with Thor Nystrom. His read on J.J. McCarthy. He's been the number one supporter of J.J. McCarthy in the country. Well, I mean, close. So Thor Nystrom's in coming up. Let's talk college football and more with Mike Golic Jr. His show is just on FanDuel Sports Network. Golic and Golic, college football analyst for TNT Sports on the Nate Brown Show. Mike, welcome in. How are you?
Doing well. How you doing, Nate?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you hopping on. Man, you've had some great guests on the show. I've seen you've been shooting it around with the big timers on Golic and Golic, so that's good stuff. I want to go to big story at Oklahoma State. They've really struggled. Mike Gundy, an alum, has been there over 20 years. He gets fired this early. What would you have done there?
I think when you know the end is here, you needed to get started on tomorrow as soon as possible. In this day and age, when the bottom can drop out so fast on a program because of the portal, because of the opportunities and options players have now, I think your concern as an athletic director and a program in general is if we let this linger and we don't present a different view for the future that offers hope, are we going to shake and rattle and crumble the foundation that Mike Gundy spent 2 decades building? And so I think it's difficult for someone that has that kind of tenure there, both as a player and a coach, but ultimately you're in positions of power to make tough decisions, and I think they ultimately had to make the one that they felt was best for the program.
How do you think a program goes down that quick? He went heavy transfer portal. Other teams have tried this. It's gone maybe a little better, like Dion, maybe a little bit. What do you think happened at Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I just think, you went a little bit without one of the big-time quarterbacks that you were used to running the offense. We know Mike Gundy, well known for his iterations of the air raid and the spread and all those different things. And so I think you misfire there. You go back a couple of years ago and Ollie Gordon helps them pave their way to a Big 12 championship appearance, and then the next year you bring back a ton of production, but it just doesn't look right up front. You lose some key guys defensively, obviously. When Jim Knowles left town, the teeth on that defense changed dramatically as well. So it's like anything else. I don't know if there's any one moment in particular, but and I've seen people comment on this, and it's so true. Most people thought, hey, when Texas and Oklahoma left town, there's a void at the top of the Big 12 that's dying for someone to overtake it. And, man, Mike Gundy and all of that continuity and everything that we saw in the lead-up to 2023 could be so well-positioned. And instead, it's gone the total opposite direction where, I think they've lost 11 of their last 12 FBS games. Obviously, this year has been a nightmare start for them. And so it's a shame because this was a program that for so long was usually one of the most exciting offenses in the sport.
Mike Golic Jr. on tonight, courtesy of the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. His show's Golic and Golic on FanDuel every afternoon. College football analyst for TNT Sports. So let's get to some big games I want your take on. Oregon, Penn State. Where do you land on Penn State being the real deal? What do you see Saturday?
We haven't seen it so far for Penn State this year. On paper, they had everything you wanted going into this season. Veteran quarterback returning in Drew Aller, who had taken some lumps, but also won a couple of big games to start the postseason last year. gets bounced by Notre Dame. The deficiencies at receiver on that roster well documented. So they portal their way through them. They return an offensive line, 2 great running backs in Singleton and Allen, a defense full of stars, now coordinated by one of the best names in college football in Jim Knowles. And so you looked at all that and said, all right, should be there. And the explosiveness in year 2 under Andy Kotelnicki so far hasn't been there on offense. And they're going to get by far their biggest test. Now, they get it at home, which is certainly a big help in a number of ways. But I need to see them go and show us something different than what we've seen in big games from the past, where that offense hurdles up and your quarterback's not able to push it far enough down the field to make the kind of splash plays that, man, I think Oregon's capable of on the other side, because Dante Moore comes into this game, former heralded prospect similar to Drew Aller, who I've seen some real flashes from when I've turned on their game so far against Oklahoma State. I know maybe they didn't beat Oregon State, their rival, as badly as they wanted to, but this is a team that flashes some real potential, and if they can get a big-time win like I think they're capable of in this game, they're going to be receiving a lot more of the national attention that I think's eluded them so far for being the 6th-ranked team in the sport.
Okay, so if Penn State wins, does that say, look out, maybe they are, maybe this is the team?
Yeah, I absolutely think this Oregon squad and what they've been under Dan Lanning would be the kind of quality win that emboldens people that back Penn State going into the season to believe that that prediction absolutely could come true. Because the other part of this conversation is there's not one great team in college football this year. Like Ohio State's sitting there at number 1 because they beat a Texas team that we don't really know how good they are at this point. We'll find out more information on that in the next couple of weeks when they actually get into SEC play. But I don't feel like we really have a handle on that. And so you've got them sitting there, a Miami team that's got some good wins already against Notre Dame and Florida, LSU, who we thought might be the number 1 team in college football after the Clemson win that's aged like milk. And so you look around and we don't really have a sense for, all right, who's the big bad in the sport at this point, and that does leave it open to all challengers.
Does Nebraska get out of everybody's mind after that loss to Michigan?
Yeah, they're going to take a backseat for a little while. I mean, there's always the benefit on the incumbent to try and show in the Big Ten, are you capable of breaking into the upper crust that's been occupied by Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, certainly since they've come over into the conference. And right now, that space is occupied by Indiana after last weekend. They put it on Illinois enthusiastically, and they look like a grown-up football team. Both lines of scrimmage, Kurt Cignetti has continued to bolster. They play like what you imagine in your mind a Big Ten team should play like. And they've got a quarterback in Fernando Mendoza that right now, for a lot of book odds makers, is the Heisman Trophy favorite. So I think they're going to leap into that place in the conversation that maybe some people thought, hey, in year 3, which has always been a big year for Matt Rule, would be that kind of jump for Nebraska. They got the quarterback because, man, you turn on Dylan Raiola, and he's a special player, does some really, really great things at the position, but it's been everywhere else right now that just has Nebraska not quite ready to take that next step, it seems.
Mike Golic Jr. talking college football. He's on tonight. Follow him on X if you're not. Mike Golic Jr. Watch the show FanDuel, Golic and Golic. Alabama, Georgia. This one was Georgia favored by, I don't know, it opened up like 6. Now it's down pretty tight. I saw like 2.5, 3. Do you think Alabama can go in there and win?
I think so. Like, I think most people nationally left them for dead after the loss to Florida State. And since then, listen, UL Monroe, you took care of business. Wisconsin, you took care of business against a team right now that's another one that could be a coach on the very, very hot seat here sooner than later in Luke Fickell. And so you check those boxes, you get that good taste back in your mouth, but this would be the ultimate test right now. I still think quality of roster, there's a reason a lot of people thought Alabama could be a team making a trip to Atlanta before the season. They've got that talent all over the place, but the running game still looks like it's struggling to get offline. They've been very reliant on Ty Simpson, Ryan Williams, that passing attack, even in the win. So I'm very curious. I still would lean Georgia in this game. They get the benefit of the doubt till proven otherwise. I thought they made some great adjustments against Tennessee to pull off a win in that game that came right down to the wire and went to overtime. But Alabama has the talent on the roster. I still believe Kalen DeBoer is a good coach, but they've got to put it all together against a quality opponent.
You mentioned Indiana looking great. Iowa this week. Can Iowa compete at all? You know, some people say, oh, Indiana might be like better than last year. They jumped on the scene. Are they better?
Yes, I think in a lot of ways they are better just because, to me, up front and at quarterback, I think they're better. The offensive line was an impressive group last year, the defensive front as well. But to start this year, you've got – because, I mean, you look at games from last weekend. Texas Tech beat Utah by a big number. That wasn't a game that was far apart for the entirety of it. That was a 13-10 game in the fourth quarter that spiraled. Indiana beat them really soundly, and I think Fernando Mendoza, he showed a lot of great stuff at Cal, was a part of a lot of the fun moments for the Calgorithm. He's come over here, and at the helm of this RPO offense that asks the quarterback to make a bunch of good, timely decisions, he's impacted the game with his legs in a way that helps the rushing attack. He can certainly put the ball wherever he wants to through the air, and you combine that with a defense that up front's been getting after people, and I think Indiana's for real, and I think Iowa, as presently constructed, is going to have a tough time hanging on for 4 quarters with them.
One NFL question. It is the Vikings question of the week. If Carson Wentz keeps winning, what does Mike Golic Jr. do with J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz?
If Carson Wentz is the reason they're winning, and Carson Wentz is playing great and doing some of the things we saw from Sam Darnold last year, then I think you owe it to the rest of your roster to let him see it through. But if Kevin O'Connell's winning this game by calling the games really well, Brian Flores' defense is showing what we've seen early, then I still think you've got to keep that long-term view mixed in with the short-term, because if that happens, which I'm not sure it will, you risk stunting J.J. McCarthy's development in a way that's very Trey Lancian, and I don't think you get those reps back early in a career. And what that does to a player's psyche after an offseason where the flirtation with Aaron Rodgers went on for a lot longer than people trying to tell us, oh, yeah, they're all in on J.J. McCarthy would have you believe. And so if he plays well enough to make this tough, then I think a veteran with this roster who we saw was knocking on the door of a deep playoff run last year, you owe it to them to make that call. But if it's anything south of that, I think you've got to keep this plan in mind with J.J. McCarthy that you set out on when you took him 11th overall.
Mike Golic Jr. on tonight, and his show is Golic and Golic. You had Jamar Chase on today. Jamar Chase and the quarterback now down. That's going to be a killer. Is Jamar Chase number 1 wide receiver? Is he number 1 in the league?
Yeah, I think so. I think what he's shown you, before he gets the ball with the ball in his hands, he's such a stout, strong build. He almost turns into a running back after he catches it. And he plays with such an edge about him. You could probably on any given day flip-flop with him and Justin Jefferson, but down the home stretch of last year when him and Burrow were firing on all cylinders, you'd be hard-pressed to find a wide receiver that kept defensive coordinators up at night quite like Jamar Chase did. So it's close, but I'll give him the edge right now. And, man, he's got his work cut out for him because without Joe Burrow, that offense and that team were really built to win and function one way. And I'm very curious to see what Zach Taylor does to try and help out Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Because after last week, I don't know if Jake Browning can go out there and just play the Joe Burrow brand of ball and get away with it.
Bengals spent a lot of money at wide receiver Higgins, Jamar Chase, and, of course, Burrow down. Mike Golic Jr. in tonight. Golic and Golic on FanDuel Sports Network. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Golic Jr. Mike, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nate.
Thanks a lot. Mike Golic Jr. getting us started across the state on South Dakota Sports Talk Show, one of the best in the country, college football analyst for TNT Sports, and his show with his dad, Mike Golic. Golic and Golic on FanDuel every afternoon. They had Jamar Chase today. Good stuff. Mike Golic Jr. getting us started, A-lister on the Nate Brown Show. He says Indiana going to take it to Iowa, he thinks. Indiana going to take it to Iowa. Having a hard time believing Alabama can go in and win at Georgia this Saturday. Some big games. Penn State, Oregon, Saturday night. Alabama, Georgia, Saturday night. Mercyhurst, South Dakota. Oh, anyway. Hang on, everybody. I got a comment about this South Dakota State thing. I'm gonna make a comment about South Dakota State football playing Mercyhurst. It's a sellout at the Dana here coming up this weekend. But everybody's talking, well, Mercyhurst, yeah. I'll set the record straight on this deal on Saturday for the Jacks. First, Craig Mattick's in. East River meets West River on the Nate Brown Show coming up. Craig Mattick, hang on.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors. The customers say it best. Every day.
Very happy with it. Very, very happy. I don't get tired of looking at them. And it's so nice with the breeze now, opening the windows, the ease of sliding the windows back and forth. Notice that it is warmer in the winter time, and it is cooler when the sun is shining in.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors. The customers say it best. Book your free estimate right now at rbarapidcity.com.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps 1 minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside. You don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on, and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Connection to our neighbors. Standing on our own 2 feet while also working together. The power to do more connects us all. At member-owned West River Electric Association, it's all of us working together to make today and tomorrow better. This is Co-op Country.
Are you thinking about starting or expanding a business? At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, our dedicated business lending team focuses on understanding our members' unique needs and truly wants to help them succeed. From the loans to get your business off the ground to the accounts to keep it running, we offer unique products with your business's best interest in mind. Learn more at bhfcu.com or text or call 605-718-1818. BHFCU is a member-owned, not-for-profit.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
Well, welcome back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show, the Nate Brown Show. I got to tell you about Atomic Wings in Sioux Falls, 2 locations for you. And I want to tell you, these aren't your same wings, bread. That's the type of wings I've had sometimes. This is really good stuff, not mediocre. This is fresh chicken right there, 15 sauces, sweet to heat, whatever you want. Atomic Wings is the name. If you haven't tried them, the goal of this is just to have you try them. You'll love them. Really good traditional rings, unbelievable boneless wings. I think the best I've had. It's game day, you got Atomic Wings. It's lunch, Atomic Wings. Maybe you're grabbing something for the family after practices at night. AtomicWings.com. The best. AtomicWings.com. 2 locations in Sioux Falls. Craig Mattick is in tonight. SDPB Sports. Longtime Sioux Falls sports broadcaster. Craig, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Been to soccer and volleyball and football games. It's been great. Weather's been great, and we're going to take it as long as we can, right?
I will take this as long as we can. We have a state championship in Rapid City for soccer this year, state championship.
Please no snow.
So we're almost there. It's October 18th, I think, is the date. We got a little ways to go, so let's hang on if we can keep on having nice weather.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being in Rapid.
Okay, let's go to a youth sports question. I have something here for you. I want Craig Mattick to tell me. There's some state governments that are thinking about how can we help youth get access to youth sports? How can we help provide guidelines, policy, oversight to make sure youth sports in a state is being done properly? These are states that want to, quote-unquote, help youth sports with a Department of Youth Sports. And Craig Mattick says what?
Well, if it's California, I probably want to stay away from them as much as possible. If it's something in the Midwest, I think we all could probably live with it. You know, you can only regulate so much. You just have to, what are they trying to, what's the main emphasis they're trying to get? Participation with kids? Is that the goal?
Yes. Nobody get left behind. Do we have enough options? Is it all pay to play, or is the rec sports available and stuff? I think in rural states, there aren't a lot of kids that have options. They have a lot of access. There's still some, our population areas, Greg, Sioux Falls to Rapid, there's kids that get left behind. There is.
Yeah, there is. And I'm hoping that in whatever community it is, let's say there's a family that just can't afford it. And maybe it's just the basic, they play name your sport, they play one game a week, whatever. It's youth. We're not talking high school. We're talking the kids, the youths, middle school and down. I would hope that they would be, I would hope that there would be options where, the coaches and the administrators of these services would know that, okay, this family over here is struggling, but we're going to let them play anyway. We're going to let them go there. I'm hoping that we have some of that out there. I'm not saying all the kids should be playing for free. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that there are some hard cases, and there's a handful of those, and I'm hoping that those kids are able to still be able to play with these organizations to say, yeah, well, we're going to let them in anyway.
I tend to lean towards this. I think youth sports, for the most part, is being done pretty well. But I'm only, I've been in the soccer thing, I've been in the basketball thing, I've seen the wrestling thing, I've seen the football stuff. So some of these sports that I've seen up close, I think it's being done pretty well where I'm at. But when you get into some of these states and huge cities and stuff, I don't know how many people get left behind, but I don't know if a state government can say, we're going to fix this. That usually doesn't work.
No, I don't think it does either. It's tough. That's why we should all be blessed to be living in the areas that we're living in right now.
Okay, Craig Mattick on tonight. How beneficial is youth sports to becoming a productive adult, Craig Mattick? This is a big day on the Nate Brown Show. How beneficial are youth sports to becoming a quality adult like Craig Mattick?
I think, that's going to take a lot. Maybe not a lot. The point is, youth sports it's learning to not necessarily look at the score. Especially when you're just starting out, but how to play with teammates, learning the game, respecting other players. A lot of it is just learning the game. You've been to youth softball or youth baseball, and there are so many rules to the game that these are 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids trying just to learn the game. It takes a lot of time, but learning the game, respecting players, and making sure that you're having fun doing it. And I was at a 8th grade girls softball tournament here recently, and I happened to be following some dads following with their daughters after the game was done, and they're walking back to their car in the parking lot, and I just kind of cringed because I thought, because they're talking about, if you could have done this, if you could have done that, you should have done this, and I thought, that's not what we're supposed to be doing, after ball games.
Right.
But for the most part, let's face it, learning the game and just learning it with respect, that's a pretty good start, because if you start doing that, that'll take you a long way.
Let's go to the high school football side here in South Dakota with Craig Mattick on tonight from SDPB Sports. Sioux Falls Lincoln put up 57 points against Sioux Falls Jefferson. I was told Jefferson's defense was pretty salty, but 57. Curtis Riggs told me the other night that Sioux Falls Lincoln might have one of the better offenses he's seen, one of the better quarterbacks he's seen. Can we compare high school football teams today to, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think you can. You're looking at all of the, excuse me, you're looking at every aspect of the game, and Lincoln's got it. And you go back and see the domination and the points they're putting up, and you look at what the O'Gormans did when, they had the Dusty Coleman as quarterback and the Tyler Schulte, or you look at the Roosevelt Rough Riders when they were winning a couple of titles with their teams in Washington, Brandon Valley. But for some reason, Lincoln, the points they're putting up. Jefferson was with them into the fourth quarter. It was 37-38, whatever it was, going into the fourth.
Yeah.
They were sticking with them, but Lincoln just has all the weapons. Now Jefferson, they've got a handful of weapons as well, and Washington does too, but they haven't been able to put it all together yet. But Lincoln just has by far more weapons, more experience, and right now that offense, I don't know if your Denver Broncos could stop the Lincoln Patriots.
Oh my!
Oh, that was a low blow. I'm sorry.
Let's keep it clean. Keep it clean. We'll mention your Vikings here in a minute. By the way, I wanted Lincoln scoring over 50 points a game, averaging over 50 points a game. It's quite something. Let me get to your Vikings. As a matter of fact, Craig Mattick, Carson Wentz wins. The defense just unbelievable the other day against the Bengals. I picked your Vikings to win. I won some money on that in Deadwood, so I was happy. Now, if Carson Wentz wins against the Steelers overseas Sunday, against the Browns the next Sunday, what do you want to do at QB?
Well, you got to look at who was playing in front of Carson Wentz last weekend. You had one of the best left tackles in the league back. Christian Darrisaw was back. The offensive line was giving Wentz time to throw. And the folks with the Vikings are saying that they want McCarthy to have that opportunity when he is ready to go. So I still think that as long as you got a healthy line, the defense had 4 or 5 of its stars back. That had a big part to do with it as well. But I think they're going to bring McCarthy in as soon as he is ready, because they want to see how he's going to do behind that line if they give him the time like they did for the most part to Wentz last weekend.
Okay, so you sound so I'm going to I'm keeping score. Craig Mattick is on the J.J. McCarthy Club. So you're on the J.J. McCarthy Club. I've heard others say, no, you got to stick with Carson Wentz. So you're telling me if he's 4-1, the Vikings are 4-1, they're going to go back to J.J.?
I think they will. I think they will. They are going to want to see what he's going to do. Now, that game probably would be against Philadelphia, which I'm thinking maybe I want Carson Wentz going up against his former team.
Good point. Good point to see.
To start that off. So, the Vikings schedule gets really tough after the bye. They got the Steelers and then Cleveland and then they got the bye. But then you look at it, it's Philadelphia, and you got, I think you got the Lions in there. It is a really tough schedule. LA Rams are going to be in there. It's a tough schedule after the bye.
Last one for Craig Mattick. As we move forward on SDPB Sports, your podcast is called In Play. You had Billy Mills. Do you have a new one?
We will. I believe next week, and it's going to be one of the all-time great coaches who at first really, really wanted to coach basketball, wanted to be a basketball coach, but wound up being a football coach and one of the all-time greats. You'll hear some of his stories of what it was like being an assistant, and he had some pretty good head coaches that he was under for a while. So we have that coming up, and I've got some very exciting former athletes in the sports of volleyball and softball, and I believe we're getting it confirmed today. One of the all-time great cross-country runners will be joining In Play here in the next month or so.
Okay, very good. In play, it's that time of year. The podcast is there at SDPB Sports, and Billy Mills, his latest, and more to come. It is Craig Mattick tonight. Craig, always appreciate it. Enjoy the week.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks a lot. Craig Mattick on East River Meets West River every week on South Dakota Sports Talk Show with Craig Mattick, longtime Sioux Falls broadcaster. He's with SDPB Sports. So listener text and feedback coming in. Would you want states to potentially look at starting departments of youth sports to help participation, to help with guidelines, oversight, making sure everybody has the consistency across the board? Youth sports is kind of the Wild West. Every club does their own thing. We're doing this, we're doing that. Would you want states to say, we're going to have a Department of Youth Sports, make sports affordable across the board, access, the whole thing, guidelines, policies, that whole thing? Most of you are saying, not really. Listener text, youth sports is the last thing government needs to be involved in. Don't open that Pandora's box. Youth sports are not perfect right now, but they're pretty well run. Listener text, 605-720-1067 is our number. That's the Barron's Wilson text line into the Nate Brown Show. Listener text here, sports can be a beneficial thing in anyone's life growing up, but like everything, if the government gets too involved, it gets too messed up along the way. Okay? Very interesting. Okay, let me get to this South Dakota State football game. Now, it's like, hey, they play Mercyhurst Saturday in Brookings. It's sold out with the general admission tickets, so there's going to be a big crowd. And I'm hearing everybody talk about this game. You know, we cover the FCS here. We cover South Dakota State. I've talked to Dan Jackson, talked to these guys. I got just a statement I want to make about where South Dakota State football is at and why everybody's saying anything. I mean, what are we even saying about Mercyhurst this Saturday? That's coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best, and they feel the difference every day.
Very happy with it. Very, very happy. I don't get tired of looking at them. And it's so nice with the breeze now, opening the windows, the ease of sliding the windows back and forth. Notice that it is warmer in the wintertime, and it is cooler when the sun is shining in.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best. Book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Performance Health Minute. So if somebody has an athlete, Rihanna, who they suffer a concussion, they come and see you, what can you do for them?
We want to see them as soon as possible to make sure that we can make their return to sport as safe as possible. So we can look at proprioception, balance, vestibular work, and cervical strength.
When they try to get back up to speed, you said a treatment plan, very important as they return to sport.
Making sure that the athlete has a skilled plan moving forward so that they don't return to sport way too early, making sure that the return to contact is an appropriate timing.
And the goal of that is you do not want to have another concussion getting back to it too early.
Correct. If we have another concussion too early, the athlete is at a huge risk of further problems down the road, including anything with their school or memory or continuous headaches.
For concussion treatment, get started at ElevatePerformanceSD.com.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
All right, glad to have you on board. The Nate Brown Show live right now on Fox Sports Radio. You found us, South Dakota Sports Talk Show live every afternoon drive. Thanks for being here on our affiliates on the radio side. We appreciate that. Remember, if you miss any parts of the show, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. Mike Golic Jr. really good tonight on college football. Craig Mattick always solid on South Dakota sports. James Merilatt's coming up from Denver, denversports.com. We'll talk to James Merilatt. We'll go to Minneapolis with Thor Nystrom this next hour. NFL college football analyst, fantasy life, and score north out of the Twin Cities. Thor Nystrom's in talking J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings and more. A lot to come. Remember, the Nate Brown Show podcast. If you miss parts of the show, you can't catch us live. Go to the on-demand, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast, search The Nate Brown Show. Also a reminder, this show's not just on the radio. We are a radio show. I believe in that. You're driving home, but you can stream us on X, at Nate Brown Show on X, Midwest Sports Plus, the new high school sports app, and YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. You've got a YouTube channel there. So thanks for listening, watching, wherever you're at tonight. So I have to throw this out. South Dakota State fans, are we listening tonight? Jackrabbit football fans, are we listening tonight? You may not call me a Jackrabbit insider. You know, I don't have a show about just the Jackrabbits or anything like that. But you may not call me a Jackrabbit beat writer, a Jackrabbit expert. But I kind of, I'm kind of looking at the Jacks, and I've covered them. Been talking to Stig over the years and all that stuff. I've seen the rise of the program. And we find ourselves here this weekend hosting Mercyhurst. And I'm hearing people talking that, well, I don't know, Mercyhurst, who just got into the FCS, they were kind of competitive against Montana State. They were competitive against Youngstown State and stuff. This game against Mercyhurst has to be a dominating game. I know I don't just have a special on the Jacks or anything, and I'm just telling you, just from our vantage point, South Dakota State's playing Mercyhurst Saturday, and it can't be a limp-along thing. It can't be if they win by 10, oh, well, Mercyhurst is pretty good. I think they might be pretty good. They've been on the road this whole time, and we wouldn't be saying this about North Dakota State. You wouldn't be saying this, if you're honest, about the Bison taking on Mercyhurst in the Fargo Dome. I mean, we'd be saying the Bison are just going to roll those guys. And so I don't know what the score is going to be, but I'm seeing people saying Mercyhurst kind of competitive, this and that. I'm sitting here going, the Jackrabbits got to jack Mercyhurst. I mean, that's how it should go Saturday in Brookings. That's really how it should go. And I fully expect South Dakota State off of a bye to just blast Mercyhurst rather easily, I think. Well, I don't know. They have a quarterback who might be able to, do stuff, and they keep the offense off the field, and stuff. This is Mercyhurst, fresh new FCS team. This is a national championship contender in South Dakota State at home off of a bye. I think they're going to be raring and ready. That Drake game was a little iffy, and I think they've learned some things from that. My point is, Mercyhurst isn't going to be in the FCS conversation, so the Jacks should handle them easily. The Jacks are a top tier team. And even though Montana State beat them 17-0, that was a sleepy game. That was a walkthrough there at Montana State. So they were up 17-0 right away, and then just stayed up 17-0. It was bizarre. Jackrabbits should be able to blast Mercyhurst. We would never come up with excuses of North Dakota State. Well, Mercyhurst might be good. I'm not sure. Huh? North Dakota State would absolutely destroy Mercyhurst. Yes, Lister text coming in. This is a good one. Lister text. Mercyhurst lost to Sacramento State 49-28. That's all you need to know. I mean, the Jacks should have absolutely killed Sacramento State. They should have killed them in that first game. I mean, they just didn't score touchdowns when they needed to. So, you heard it here first on the Nate Brown Show. Mercyhurst, meh, give me a break. Jackrabbits all day Saturday. All day. And that shouldn't even be that competitive on Saturday. Coming right back into the Nate Brown Show, I do have some Major League Baseball questions and 5 questions from Chris. Hey, it's a Wednesday on the Nate Brown Show. Our loyal listener, Chris, he is a real person. 5 questions from Chris. Little Major League Baseball MVP questions. I took a sneak peek, Chris. This is good stuff. I'll answer 5 questions from Chris as we kick off next hour.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Looking for a big new game to play? Well, there's no game bigger than the new dino-sized Jurassic Park scratch ticket from the South Dakota Lottery, which gives you a chance to win up to $50,000 instantly. And if that weren't enough, you can enter for a chance to win an exciting trip to beautiful Hawaii, where you could win up to $1 million. So get down to your local lottery retailer today and welcome to Jurassic Park. Must be 18 years or older to play. Please play responsibly.
At Dakota Bank, we're more than just a place to bank. We're your neighbors. From everyday banking to home mortgages, insurance, and trust services, we're here for every step of your financial journey. We believe in doing what's right for you because we live here, work here, and care about our communities just like you do. Go with confidence, go with trust, go with Dakota Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Insurance and investment products are not FDIC insured, may lose value, and have no bank guarantee.
Western South Dakota's largest selection of used cars, trucks, and SUVs is at Danny Menho Rapid Chevrolet. Over 350 to choose from. GMC, Ram, Ford, Jeep, imports, Chevys, GM certified pre-owned, 24 different manufacturers, all with Danny Menho discounts. If you want it, we have it. Or our friendly staff will find it for you. Buyers on site offering top dollar for all trades. Financing available on the spot and all credit applications accepted. See us at Danny Menho Rapid Chevrolet or DannyMenhoRapidChevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
Building your Black Hills dream? Builder's First Source in Rapid City, Spearfish, and Hot Springs has you covered. Top quality materials, product expertise, all your building needs in one place for materials and services. Just stop in or start at BLDR.com. That's BLDR.com. Builder's First Source. Build it.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
Football is on, and your place for all the action is at the BetMGM Sportsbook in Tin Lizzie Gaming Resort.
And he's got a touchdown!
Don't miss a second of your favorite matchups with wall-to-wall television arrays and personalized audio technology.
Touchdown, Denver!
Now offering live betting so you can keep your luck rolling while the game is still going. Grab a lounge chair or pull up to a table and order off a full menu of food and drinks from Patty O'Neill's. BetMGM at Tin Lizzie is the #1 sportsbook in Deadwood, where it's always game on.
That's my husband, Mr. Fix-It.
I got it! I ain't got it.
I told him we needed replacement windows for our house.
I am man!
I told him rather than go to a do-it-yourself store, we should contact Renewal by Anderson because they only do windows. They're experts, no subcontractors.
Hey, honey, did you know our electricity runs through all these little metal pipes? And yow!
You okay?
Yeah.
Renewal by Anderson, hassle-free, energy-efficient, low-maintenance windows with a professional, perfect fit.
The hole needs to be just a little larger.
keeping your home warm in the winter, cool in the summer with their Fibrex windows.
I had no idea we had this much insulation in our walls. Honey?
Yeah?
I think it's time we call Renewal by Anderson.
Good call, Mr. Fix-It.
For a perfect fit, call 605-341-7831. Renewal by Anderson of South Dakota. 605-341-7831.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, I'm back and ready. Second hour of the program. You're here. I appreciate that. Thanks for making this show possible. The Nate Brown Show is live. Fox Sports Radio, Wednesday edition, South Dakota Sports Talk Show, where it's always a great day in South Dakota. What a fall we've had. Solid, right? Just a solid fall. We'll take it. Next two guests look really, really good. Thor Nystrom is on tonight from the Twin Cities, NFL college football analyst, Fantasy Life, and Score North out of Minnesota. Thor Nystrom is in. What's his read on J.J. McCarthy? This is fascinating. If Carson Wentz continues to win, what a deal in Minnesota. And I've had people on this week that are split, that stick with Carson. Matthew Collar, he covers the Vikings. He was on Monday, said, well, you're going to stick with Carson. And they're having that conversation. And I know Thor Nystrom is a huge J.J. McCarthy guy and was one of the first guys in saying, the Vikings are going to get rid of Sam Darnold. They're going to go with J.J. McCarthy. He was like the first guy out of the national media, and he stuck with that. He was right. Thor Nystrom's coming up. James Merilatt's on tonight. Is James Merilatt going to get any credit about his analysis of the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton? He always gets the heat. Everybody comes after James Merilatt with the heat in Denver. I want to see if he's going to get any credit. DenverSports.com's James Merilatt coming up. Hey, I have a question about, before I get into the 5 questions from Chris tonight, he threw me some Major League Baseball questions. I have a question. Is there any sports fan listening to this program that thinks the Major League Baseball season is just the right length? I get that every year doing this show. How long have I done a show? Going all the way back. I mean, a long time. I started in Montana, started out in Washington, D.C. on the TV set. I get that question every year. Why is the Major League Baseball season so long? And I mean, it's from everybody. It is from everybody. And I kind of take a step back and I'm like, Major League Baseball is really good right now. The Mariners story's really good. You got some great races going on. And I know it's football heavy, but like I'm the only show in America that even mentions Major League Baseball at this time. Like everyone's like, oh no, you can't mention baseball right now. This is football time. That's because baseball's been going on forever, and people don't even have a clue about some of the stuff that's happening. We got some unbelievable pennant races going on. Blue Jays, Yankees, Tigers, Guardians. So it's really good stuff, but I'm serious about that. Is there anybody, even sports fans, think that the Major League Baseball season is too long? The only guys that don't are the owners because they cash those checks. And then, I don't know, maybe even the players. I think you could get away with, if you paid the players certain aspects here and did a deal, they might shorten the season. I mean, this season is just unbelievable. And so by the time we get to the postseason, the last week should be a lot of fun, and some people are like, unless your team's in it, you're out. Unless your team is in the race, you are out. I just feel that. And there's hardly any other sport like that. Too long, we know it. Everybody asks me that every year. Baseball's too long. It is. It will stay this way. Nobody wants to change. You could tweak it. You could close the gap a little bit. Even sports fans say the Major League Baseball season is too long. One thing that I love, the postseason in baseball. The postseason is high energy, high stakes, high intensity. Fans come out in droves. The postseason is absolutely excellent. Speaking of Major League Baseball, let's get to 5 questions from Chris.
It's time for 5 questions from Chris on the Nate Brown Show.
All right, Chris, what do we got tonight? 5 questions from Chris on the Nate Brown Show. Question 1. Tigers and Mets could go down in modern history as having some of the greatest collapses in baseball. Tigers had a 15-game lead in early August over Cleveland. The Mets have spent $323 million in 2025, and they're just hanging on. If both the Tigers and Mets miss the postseason, which would be worse in your eyes? I hate to tell you, Chris, the Tigers going down after leading by 15 games in August. In August! I think if you look at that, Chris, I think that might be, you're the baseball guy, that might be the biggest collapse in modern history. I mean, 15-game lead. Well, they have 19 strikeouts last night. The Tigers are reeling. They are reeling. That would be a total disaster. Mets have spent a ton of money, but they haven't, gave up that situation. They were in the lead earlier, but it was a slow burn. Tigers went down fast. Question number 2. 45th Ryder Cup's going to be held this weekend. Bethpage Black. Europe's the holder of the Ryder Cup after their win over the U.S. in 2023. If you remember the 2023 U.S. team, they completely unraveled down the stretch. The U.S. team has to earn 14.5 points to get the Ryder Cup back. Do you think the U.S. upsets the Europeans this year? I'm going to go with the U.S. Why not? Why not, Chris? I'm not a big Ryder Cup guy. I'll check it out. I like our guys here. Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa. I like some of these guys. Xander Schauffele. We got some guys this year. Bryson DeChambeau. So I'm going to go U.S. I like the guys. Give me Scheffler and the guys. 45th Ryder Cup this weekend. Bethpage Black. Question number 3. 23 Major League Baseball teams have sponsor patches now, totaling $203 million in sponsorship money. The Husker AD Troy Dannon said the sponsor patches on uniforms in college will be coming. Nate, do you think a school like Nebraska or Ohio State or somebody should do the sponsor patch, or should they do the same patch for each conference? Split it up. So like the Big Ten would have one. No. You got to go school by school. And that's how they'll do it, Chris. I think they would, if this comes to college sports, you're going to go school by school. Nebraska's going to have the biggest Runza patch you've ever seen in your life. It's Runza right there on the front by the numbers. Put it on the helmet by the end. It goes together with the end. Runza and the end. I can see it now. No, you got to go school by school. They're not going to do conferences. Sponsor patches in college football. You like that? Runza right there. Question number 4. Major League Baseball wraps up and the MVPs are going to be voted on. Who would you vote for the AL MVP? Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh of the Mariners? Well, here's what I see, Chris. This is a great question. Great question. Aaron Judge leads the major leagues in average, and he's got 49 homers. So he's like top 5 there. Cal Raleigh, switch hitting catcher. I mean, the guy's a catcher, and he's got 58 homers, most homers by a switch hitter ever in Major League history. That is a Cal Raleigh vote for me. Cal Raleigh, Mariners catcher. Number 1, he's a catcher. So you got to know the game. You got to know the hitters. You got to know the scout. I mean, this guy's playing all the time. He's up there playing a ton at catcher. And then he's blasting home runs like this for a Mariners team that's on fire. So I know Aaron Judge, average, home run, WAR. I mean, he's got the hitting numbers. Cal Raleigh is your AL MVP. Has to be. Has to be. Question number 5. NFL begins its European slate of games this weekend. Vikings taking on the Steelers in Ireland. Total of 6 games now will be played at various spots. Madrid, Berlin, London, Dublin. Roger Goodell has made no secret he still would want to push the NFL into Europe. Do you think the NFL would be successful in pursuing teams in Europe? The NFL probably would be successful at that. I think they would love it over there. Those are huge cities. They would love the NFL. You got the soccer competition, so it's interesting. The NFL would probably be successful. I wonder how we would look at that here. Like, would you guys have a problem if there was a game every week overseas, an overseas division? So you have rotating teams that would play overseas. I wouldn't be a huge fan of that, but I think people will say, it's football, it's the NFL. But I think expanding worldwide, at least over to Europe like that, probably a little bit too far for the fans. Those guys over there would like it. I don't think we would like it as the league. It's an American football league. The NFL is America's league. That's what I say. That's what I say. 5 questions from Chris in the books on a Wednesday. The Nate Brown Show going with James Merilatt, live from Denver. His read on the Broncos. He's been right about everything, hasn't he?
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks. Our locally owned Ace stores are committed to helping our neighbors and our communities. And because we're in the neighborhood, we can deliver almost anything you need. So shop in store or online for whatever your home or yard needs. Choose from top brands like Milwaukee, Steel, Traeger, and Benjamin Moore. Then pick up in-store, curbside, or we'll deliver your order right to your home. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know how to help. See acehardware.com for details.
School's starting soon, but summer's not over yet. Keep grilling those burgers and hot dogs, but don't toss that empty bun bag. Later, with Village Hearth and Loaves for Learning.
Fringe activists are at it again in Rapid City. We've seen it before. Abortion on demand, drugs on our street, all defeated at the ballot box. Don't get fooled, Rapid City. Don't sign these petitions. They're trying to force non-issues to the ballot box, making for costly elections that are paid by Rapid City taxpayers. Don't sign the petition. Stop radical agendas at the clipboard. Go to declinetosign.com to learn more. Paid for by Citizens for Responsible Growth.
At Highmark Credit Union, we believe banking should feel personal. That's why when you walk into our lobbies, you'll be greeted by real tellers and friendly staff, ready to help with your questions, big or small. And yes, we've got the latest technology too, for when you want quick and convenient service. The best part? You get to choose. Highmark Credit Union. Personal service backed by modern technology. We'll make it happen. Federally insured by the NCUA.
At Dakota Discount RV, we're in it for the long haul, just like you. Whether it's cross-country adventures, weekends by the lake, or family time under the stars, we're here to keep you rolling for years to come. While others are packing up, we're doubling down with dependable service, great prices, and the biggest selection in the region. Your journey doesn't stop here, and neither do we. Here tomorrow, here for every mile ahead. Visit us in Rapid City or Somerset or online at dakotadiscountrv.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Lows level off around 54. Tonight, under clear skies, southwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Bright sunshine expected again. Tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 85. Lows level off around 55. Tomorrow night, clear skies and dry. Friday and Saturday, mid-80s. Friday, upper 70s by Saturday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently 77.
In the past, if you needed auto body repair, you had to get multiple estimates and then try to get your car into a shop for repair. Well, not anymore. In most cases, you can stop by one shop, get your estimate, and schedule your car for a repair. The question now becomes which shop you choose. If you like quality, choose J&J Truck and Auto Body. They have ASE, PPG, and Gold iCar certifications that allow them to offer you a nationwide warranty. And they'll work with your insurance company so you're pleased with the outcome. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, The Nate
Hey, welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show. A little energy on a Wednesday. Let's bring it tonight. Second hour. South Dakota Sports Talk Show across the state on Fox Sports Radio. I always get wound up with 5 questions from Chris, right? Good stuff. Who would you vote for AL MVP? If you had a vote. I just broke it down. Aaron Judge leads in batting average. What's that? Batting average. Top 5 in homers. His WAR is off the charts. So, wins above replacement. Okay. All this new age stuff. Or would you go Cal Raleigh? Switch hitting catcher. He's playing every day. Catching. 58 homers for the Mariners. It's a Cal Raleigh vote for me, right? Who would you vote for? AL MVP. Our question of the day, Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh? Up for debate. It's good stuff. 605-720-1067 on the text line tonight. James Merilatt said tonight, I got a platform for him. He's got his own platform. It's called denversports.com. So he's got his own, but I got a platform in South Dakota where I could say, I've been listening to the Denver media, and I know these guys. I have different guys on the show, and I appreciate James when he comes on. We shoot it around here about the Broncos mainly. But I wonder in Denver if they give James his own slot where it says, James Merilatt was right about everything. I mean, that might be pretty good. James, welcome in. How are you?
I'm great. I appreciate that. I would love that show. You know, I would love that slot. I like the name that you've come up with. So that'd be just fine by me. I don't see that coming anytime soon, but I appreciate it, Nate.
Okay. Well, why I say that, you've been questioning things, how they look, how things could go down, Sean Payton and some of the things that he's done. And now I hear all of the Denver sports media saying the same thing, but they were 2 weeks ago saying this is the real deal. Anybody that doesn't say this is a real deal team is a doofus. So what's happened?
Well, I think there's been a bit of a reality check, right? So, you know, I said all offseason that, hey, I think this team had a good offseason. I think they'll be better than they were a year ago, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have a better record because I thought the 10-7 was a little bit of a mirage last year. They beat a lot of bad teams. Anytime they played a good team, they, for the most part, lost, other than the game down in Tampa in Week 3. So I just thought it was the foundation wasn't as solid to build off that 10-7 that some people thought, and I think that's proven to be true. It's not as though they played poorly through 3 weeks, but they haven't done enough to win. They're 1-2, and you know it's been a lot of the things, a lot of the issues that I thought were going to be problematic. It's, you know, Bo Nix to me is a average to above average quarterback. He's not elite. We saw that on Sunday. Justin Herbert's an elite quarterback. He made plays down the stretch. Bo Nix isn't. He couldn't make plays down the stretch. Their skill position guys are still young, very unproven. It's just a roster full of good players, but only a couple of great players. And I think in close games, that's what tends to be the difference. So, look, I don't think they're a bad football team. I don't think this is going to spiral into something where they're 5-12 or 6-11. But I think they're a mediocre team that's going to, you know, struggle to be a little bit above 500 and to get a wild card berth, very much similar to what they were a year ago. So it's been a reality check. There's still some people in town that are saying, hey, they're 2 field goals away from being 3-0. I think that's overlooking some of the problems and trying to put some lipstick on a pig, if you will.
Okay, so I was going to play that devil's advocate on that side because I think you've been correct on the Broncos for the most part about let's be careful of saying Super Bowl, and I've always been saying that too, but you get in trouble. You know, Broncos fans, they get mad when you say anything. Well, maybe they're not Super Bowl. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about Super Bowl. People get mad about that. Yet I don't. You see it now, and then fans go, "Well, Sean Payton didn't do this, and Bo Nix can't do this," and now everybody's frustrated. But I will say they have been really, really close. We could be talking about a 3-0 team, but you say, well, you have to win the close games. Is that what the NFL comes down to? Why don't you think they could be 3-0?
Well, yeah, you do. I mean, ultimately, it's, you know, Sean Payton loves to quote Bill Parcells, right? He came off that coaching tree, and Bill Parcells famously said, hey, you are what your record says you are. So you don't get, there's no such thing as moral victories. You don't get style points. You know, if you lose 70-20 down in Miami 3 years ago or you lose, 29-28 at Indianapolis, it's still an L. So if you look back at Sunday's game against the Chargers, yeah, it came down to the wire. Yeah, they had a lead late. They also had 9 first downs. They had more penalties than they had first downs. 9. I mean, I hear people saying, hey, they deserve to win. It's like, you don't deserve to win a game when you get 9 first downs on an offense where you have 6 drives that are 3 and out, where in your first 9 plays on offense you record a grand total of 13 yards. It's just, that to me isn't a team that deserves to win. I think they were fortunate to be up in that game. They had a good, stretch at the end of the first half, and to start the third quarter, they basically played 6 or 8 minutes of good football, but we're seeing a lot of the same issues we saw last year. And people wanted to gloss over this, and this, part of what I brought up in the offseason when I was, painted as a pessimist, is that after Thanksgiving last year, they were among the worst defenses in football. If you throw out the game against the Chiefs JV team at the end of the season, when they won 38-0 in a game Kansas City had no interest in winning, they were the worst defense in football. In the playoff game in Buffalo, they couldn't stop James Cook in that running game. They couldn't get off the field. The Bills had the ball for 40-some minutes of time of possession. Same kind of thing we've seen so far this season, where the Chargers had the ball for 36 minutes, and the Colts lost. They couldn't stop Jonathan Taylor. He ran all over him. So we've seen a lot of these same issues really for what amounts to about a half of a season if you look at total number of games, and I don't think they're going away. So, yeah, they've been close, but I think you can make the argument they've been fortunate to be close in those games. The other part of it is, people will say, well, they win that Indy game if not for a bad call from the ref. Okay. Well, last year they lose the Indy game here if Jonathan Taylor doesn't drop the football while running untouched into the end zone, right? Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't take good fortune when it comes your way and then complain about bad fortune when it comes your way. So I think these things tend to even out, and that's a little bit of what we're seeing here, where some of those fortunate wins are turning into unfortunate losses.
James Merilatt joining us from Denver. The site is denversports.com. Best coverage of the Broncos and more. Find him on X at James Merilatt. So do you think the Chargers are the real deal? Like, that's what people say. Well, maybe the Broncos, they could have won that game. The Chargers are going to win the AFC West. Do you think so?
I do. I think the Chiefs, we've seen enough now where, last year, look, they were 15-2. It's hard to shoot that down. And really, they were 15-1 heading into that Broncos game. But it was a lot of close wins. That's going to even out, just like I was saying with the Broncos. That's going to even out over time. I don't think they're going to be a bad football team, but I think they're an 11-win team, maybe at best this year. If they lose this week to the Ravens, that'll be a bit of a stretch to even get to that. I think the Chargers are going to win more games than that. They won 11 a year ago, so I think they're the class of the division. I think they have a great coach. I think they have a quarterback who's has the potential to be great and can make plays that is at an elite level. They play defense well. They need to run the football a little better. They haven't quite figured that out with Omari and Hampton and kind of what they're going to do in the backfield, but I think that's the best team in the division. I think the Broncos are going to be in the wild card chase all year. I do. I think they just have to get to the point where they win the games they should win. They take care of home field, like this coming Monday night against the Bengals. That's a game you absolutely have to win. And then if you steal one somewhere along the way, here or there, you got yourself a chance to sneak back into the wild card. But the Chargers are the best team in the division. I'll be surprised, barring injury, if they don't win the AFC West.
The big thing in the Chargers' loss, there's people are pointing to stuff. One thing I noticed, it was 2nd and goal, short yardage. 2nd and goal, and they didn't run J.K. Dobbins. They passed out of the shotgun, offensive pass interference, going backwards, kick the field goal, you end up losing. Where do we get inside Sean Payton's decision-making? The conspiracy theorist says Sean Payton wants to bump Bo Nix's stats. I don't think I'm there, but it's bizarre sometimes. This 2nd and goal, short yardage, punch it in, you're up by 11.
Yeah, and I've been having this argument with people for now. This is the 3rd season, right? It was the first year Sean was here. Russ was still the quarterback, and then people were telling me, no, they're going to run the football. I'm like, no, they're not. They'd find me, outside of Kyle Shanahan, who is similar to his dad, Mike Shanahan, find me an offensive-minded head coach who wants to run the football. You don't get dubbed a offensive guru and, get to Hall of Fame conversation and, get jobs when you're done coaching get them on TV. If you're a guy who likes to run the football and win games 20-17, you get those reputations and get those kind of accolades from the big numbers you put up and throwing the football and the way you're able to diagram things on the whiteboard and outsmart the opponent. So that's kind of his nature. And then I think it's also human nature that when you draft a quarterback, when you put your neck on the line, when you decide to move on from Russell Wilson and Bo Nix is your handpicked guy, you're trying to put him in positions to succeed. You're trying to do things that make it inflate his numbers a little bit. I don't think it's conscious. I just think it's one of those things you kind of do involuntarily of like, hey, we're at the 5-yard line. We're going to punch this in rather than a Dobbins touchdown on the ground. A passing touchdown for Bo sure looks good on those end-of-the-year numbers when he throws for 29 and only has 12 picks. All right, well, how many of those were simply because the Broncos couldn't run the football last year or didn't run the football last year in the red zone? It was quite a few. It ends up in inflated numbers, and I think it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy with Sean Payton. Sometimes that turns out well. Sometimes it leads you down the path of destruction, and that's what it's been a couple of times this season.
Okay, what do you say about Monday night? You said you have to win this one. Well, Bengals don't have Joe Burrow. Jake Browning was a mess against the Vikings. Vikings have the number one defense right now in the NFL. Broncos said we can be that team. What has to happen Monday night? What do you think's going to happen?
I think they're going to win. I think you have to win. And is it a must-win in terms of the standings and, the mathematics and all that? Of course not. It's week 4. But if you look at it, you'd be 1-3. You'd be going on the road to play Philly. Then you fly across the pond to London to play the Jets. It's just it has the chance to spiral downhill of, if you lose that Philly game, then you're 1-4. That turns into a very ugly situation. You got to right the ship. You got to stabilize things. It's a backup quarterback. It's a defense that can't stop anybody. It just has all the makings of a get-right game, right? Bo Nix comes out, puts up some big numbers. They have some big plays. He hits some of those deep balls, and all of a sudden everything feels right, and you're 2-2 heading on what amounts to a 2-game road trip because they're not coming home between those games. So I just think you have to win it. I think they will. And I think you'll hear there's overreaction in this town all the time. So the overreaction now is, Bo can't play, which I don't think is true. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he certainly can play. And Sean Payton can't coach. Well, he's not a genius. He's 19-19. They're certainly worse than that, but that's kind of the definition of mediocre. And then when they go out and they beat the brakes off the Bengals, everybody will be talking about how Bo's back in Super Bowl again. There's just a constant overreaction, but they have to win that game. I think they will get it done. I don't think this team is going to spiral down the drain. I just think it's going to be more of a slog throughout the year than people thought.
James Merilatt in tonight from Denver. Listener text said, this is a depressing Broncos take. Have you heard that before?
I have heard it before. Listen, being a realist isn't being negative, right? And if they say something now and 6 months later everybody else is saying it, nobody ever comes back and apologizes for calling me negative, and when in fact I was just ahead of the curve. So yeah. I get it. Listen, man, I was literally born a Broncos fan. There's photos of me on the day I was born with an orange and blue stocking cap that my grandmother made me. So it's not that I don't want this team to win. It's not that I don't root for this team. But I just think there's a reality check that needs to happen. And so far through 3 games, we're starting to get it.
My take is I think they're good. I don't think they're great. I think they're good. All right. Denversports.com. It is James Merilatt. That's the site for the best Broncos coverage, not the depressing Broncos coverage. It is James Merilatt. Get his own slot. Give him his show. James Merilatt was right about everything. All right, man. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
All right, Nate. Always enjoy it. Take care.
Appreciate it. James Merilatt on South Dakota Sports Talk Show across the state, Fox Sports Radio. Good stuff from James. Denversports.com. He's giving you his read. He's giving you his read, and he's been saying Broncos aren't going to set the world on fire. Yeah, they're not going to set the world on fire. I was cautious with that. You know this. I was cautious. Sean Payton was talking about Super Bowl and stuff, and he was throwing it out there on the record and all the preseason and all the training camp. The media was visiting, and everybody, the Broncos had a Super Bowl. Yeah, this is a real deal. You got to be careful with that. I have said I'd rather take the Kevin O'Connell approach. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Try and build, see where things are at. Just don't say anything. When you set yourself up for huge expectations, then this is the type of scenario you end up with. You lose in a couple of questionable play calling and stuff like this. Now you're 1-2, and people are going, okay, the Broncos said they were the real deal, and plus you have the target on your back as well. Maybe they aren't the real deal. So I'm going to say this about my Broncos. They're good. They're not great. Like, they're not in – I'm not even going to put them in the Ravens category. Like you say, the Ravens are 1-2. The Broncos and the Ravens are not the same 1-2 to me. Ravens are 1-2 as well. They're not the same as the Broncos. That's how I see it. So, Thor Nystrom's on tonight. He was the first guy to say the Vikings were going to go with J.J. McCarthy over Sam Darnold. And everybody was like, oh, come on. Sam Darnold had 14 wins. This was an unbelievable year. Thor said they're going with J.J. He was right. What does he say now with the Carson Wentz episode here? Thor Nystrom in from the Twin Cities, NFL Vikings analyst, Score North, coming up.
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best, and they feel the difference every day.
Very happy with it. Very, very happy. I don't get tired of looking at them. And it's so nice with the breeze now, opening the windows, the ease of sliding the windows back and forth. Notice that it is warmer in the winter time, and it is cooler when the sun is shining in.
Renewal by Anderson Windows and Patio Doors, the customers say it best. Book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club. Golf Digest ranked Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club the #1 public course in South Dakota. Off exit 17 in Spearfish, Elkhorn Ridge offers a golfing experience second to none. Play their 18-hole championship layout with your buddies. Stop into Miller Creek Pub for some drinks, or bring the family out for lunch and try out Miller Creek Pub. Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club has it all. Book your next tee time at elkhornridgeresort.com.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker, Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying a home or real estate in the Black Hills? Maybe you want to upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio across the state of South Dakota, where it's always a great day in South Dakota. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, Fox Sports Radio. A lot of ways you can watch the show. Find us on X at Nate Brown Show. Follow us and watch us live at Nate Brown Show. Welcome in there on X. And YouTube channel is up right now, The Nate Brown Show. Search for it. You've got us. YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. Live and archive shows there. Thor Nystrom, you can follow his work, Fantasy Life. Does a great job. They have some great shows there. Fantasy Life, NFL Draft Analyst, college football. Covers the Vikings there in the Twin Cities as well. Thor KU on X. Thor Nystrom in on the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. Thor, how are you?
I'm doing great, Nate. How are you?
I'm good, man. I've got some listeners that know Thor Nystrom. They sent in a text. I said, hey, Thor's coming up tonight. We're going to talk Vikings, J.J. McCarthy. And they sent in a text. They said, Thor was the first guy who stuck with the Vikings are going to go with J.J. McCarthy. They're going to let Sam Darnold go. They're going to roll with J.J. McCarthy. So they know you were right on that. How about now? There's reporting in Minnesota already. Well, if the Carson Wentz plays well and the Vikings win here in the next couple of games, do the Vikings stick with Carson Wentz? What are they going to do?
Well, first off, I appreciate that. Second off, O'Connell, I think some people that didn't listen to the full comments, and then there were some writers that had some kind of salacious, headlines with that. It wasn't that O'Connell said that he was going to consider giving the job to Wentz because of the injury. It was that he outlined essentially the rehab course for J.J. McCarthy. Like right away, they asked him, like, if when J.J. is 100% healthy, will he be back on the field? And O'Connell's like, yeah, but we have, he has to get healthy first. And then he was like, we're not just going to throw him back on the field. If he comes in and he's healthy on a Saturday, we're not going to throw him in the next day. He would have to have a full week of practice. So, that's what it is, and that makes sense, right? Like have the full prep, but he hasn't practiced yet to this point. He's not ready for it, and so that, by definition, and based on what O'Connell said, it's not going to be next week either. What we've been sort of looking at is the Eagles game coming out of the bye. That's what Tracy Wolfson had originally reported. We'll have to see how McCarthy's ankle responds. But, yeah, McCarthy's going to be getting his job back at some point.
Okay, so you say Vikings are still going to be in with J.J. McCarthy. So do you think that's even a tough call if the Vikings are coming out of this European trip 4-1? Is it a tough call?
I don't know that it is. I mean, it's funny. Carson Wentz, who benefited from 3 first-half defensive touchdowns and barely had to do anything. By the way, the offense barely did do anything, despite the fact that they were playing this crappy defense at home and all the momentum was going that way. And we have 10 years of tape on the guy. We know what Carson Wentz is right now. Is Carson Wentz going to win you a Super Bowl this year? If the answer is no, you have to go back to McCarthy. That you are trying to improve your odds of winning a Super Bowl in the future. And for the people that are like, oh, JJ's a bust because they saw 7 healthy quarters of him so far, great. You have to see that he is. Whether it is at least getting the exposure on him to know what do we want to do with our quarterback position next year, or whether it's just developing him towards we have 3 years left of this guy on a rookie scale contract. We constructed this super roster because we got rid of the big salaried quarterback, Sam Darnold, and went with the top 10 guy. You don't have an option but to see it through with J.J. McCarthy. It just is what it is. That's what you do with the top 10 quarterback. You don't use a top 10 pick and then stick the guy on the bench to rot.
Yeah, I got you on that. So what's your read, Thor, on J.J.'s 7 bad quarters as opposed to the 1? You've been high on him saying this guy can do some stuff. He's had some bad picks. Holding on to the ball, hasn't had a good old line there. So have you been concerned about anything?
Well, I mean, the first game, his NFL debut, coming off a 600-plus day layoff on the road against a division team, he ends up winning NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Was the whole game perfect? No. but he was playing not behind Christian Darrisaw, one of the NFL's 3 best left tackles. He was playing behind one of the worst left tackles the NFL has seen in the last 30 years in Justin Skule. Justin Skule, the same guy that gave up the 4.5 sack game to Aiden Hutchinson just last year, he was the guy protecting the blind side. Of course, he didn't have Addison. The receiving core, Justin Jefferson missed most of August. Jalen Naylor missed most of August. And then you traded for the 35-year-old Adam Thielen the week before the season. And McCarthy still goes and wins that game. Again, his NFL debut off the layup. The next week, you had the 3 lethargic quarters against Atlanta, no doubt about it. Atlanta, though, was generating enormous amounts of pressure. You remember the Super Bowl that Pat Mahomes lost to the Buccaneers, where the Chiefs' offense could do absolutely nothing, and because the offensive line was broken, and people were like, what are you going to do behind that kind of pressure? In that game, Pat Mahomes faced 52% pressure. In the Atlanta Falcons game, J.J. McCarthy faced 53.5% pressure rate in his second NFL game. Then he gets injured at the end of the third quarter. And, it's funny when people do the thing of like, he's only had one good quarter, even though he won an NFL game in that quarter. But, okay, well, isolated to that. But nobody will give him the context of he played for a quarter plus with a high ankle sprain, a medically significant, severe high ankle sprain. The final quarter is what people want him to be. Playing behind Justin Skule without Jordan Addison, a depreciated team around him, and then having a high ankle sprain where you can't move around. He had scrambled 5 times for 25 yards before that injury occurred. Of course, he didn't leave the pocket once after that, and you were in a pocket that was melting down beats after the snap. So, people, you can judge him for what he did in that fourth quarter. He turned the ball over twice. One of them was a strip sack where he had, a second or so before the guy hit him, and then he had the interception where they thought it was they threw the flag right away. They thought it was a broken play, flung it up, and someone picked it deep or whatever because you think you have the free play. But that's not who JJ is. JJ is going to be just fine. Is there things to work on? Of course. He's the NFL's youngest starting quarterback. He's more than a year younger than Cam Ward, the first overall pick in this past draft. A couple years younger than Bo Nix, a couple years younger than Jaden Daniels, et cetera, et cetera. There's still things to work on. I think the thing that O'Connell pointed to in particular was lower half mechanics. When you're under duress, making sure that you keep those mechanics, that would just be one thing. Work on the progression, stuff like that. But yeah, he's going to be fine.
All right. How about some passion tonight, Thor? Can you be a little more passionate? I mean, when you come on the show, I need some energy. All right, good stuff. Thor Nystrom on tonight, Fantasy Life. Find him there, NFL Draft Analyst, college football as well. Hey, a couple of quick ones here. College football, 2 big games. I just want your quick take. Alabama, Georgia. How do you lean?
I lean Alabama upset in that game. Georgia's ripe for the picking right now. They have a terrible pass defense. They have offensive line issues, and they don't throw the ball downfield, so they can't generate explosive plays on offense. This is a team that Alabama matches up really well against. You can save the points. Give me a money line ticket on Alabama.
Okay, Alabama and Oregon, Penn State, Saturday night in State College.
Man, that's a tough one because we haven't seen Penn State play anyone, and Oregon really hasn't either. If you're going to give me 3.5 points with Oregon, I have to take it just based on what we've seen with James Franklin in big spots and stuff like that. Oregon's obviously a really good team. Love Dante Moore, the quarterback at Oregon. I think he's going to open some people's eyes that are seeing him for the first time this weekend. But with that spread at 3.5, I have to take Oregon.
Thor Nystrom bringing it, talking Vikes and some college football. Is going to be a fun weekend. Vikings overseas. Do they beat Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers?
I think they do, yeah. The Steelers' defense is way down. Porter's been out. They've been banged up a little bit. You can run on the Steelers, and then the Steelers play a bunch of single high. So not only can you run on them, they also give you opportunities for deep shots. Well, that's Carson Wentz's best thing, right? I mean, they're going to throw downfield to Addison and Jefferson. Addison, this is his first game back from suspension. I think you're going to see him hit at least one home run in this game. And then the Vikings defense is, as you know, playing absolute lights out. Isaiah Rodgers coming off one of the great individual defender performances we've ever seen in the NFL. The Steelers offense that can barely run the ball and it needs to run through Aaron Rodgers, they are in deep, deep trouble here. I like the Vikings in that game by double digits.
Thor Nystrom on tonight. Follow him at Thor KU. Find him at Fantasy Life. Thor, always great. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks a lot, Nate. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you coming on. From the Twin Cities, Thor Nystrom, Fantasy Life, NFL Draft Analyst, College Football Analyst, also Vikings for Score North. Who's hot and who's not? Wrapping up the show next. Who's hot category? Rapid City makes a basketball announcement. Coming up.
This is South Dakota's sports talk show.
Save big money on your interior stains and finishes now at Menards. Provide exceptional color to your staining project with Minwax Color Series. It applies evenly and dries fast with just one coat. Get a quart of Minwax Color Series wood stain in over 240 colors on sale now through September 28th. Save big on Minwax wood stains. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
In the studio today, I have Weston and Denise Chapman, owners of Black Hills Tire. What kind of diesel services does Black Hills Tire specialize in?
Black Hills Tire is really going to focus on a lot of new diesel services. We're doing factory maintenance and service. We're doing fuel system diagnostics and repair. We're going to do engine repair, even all the way into engine overhauls and engine removals and installation, whether it's driveline components and repair, transmission service, transmission and clutch replacements, brakes. We're doing everything. Check us out at blackhillstire.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Lows level off around 54. Tonight, under clear skies, southwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Bright sunshine expected again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 85. Lows level off around 55. Tomorrow night, clear skies and dry. Friday and Saturday, mid-80s. Friday, upper 70s by Saturday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 75.
Hi, this is Dr. Dan Jensen at Physio. We want to be your trusted partner for physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab. As the official strength and conditioning partners for Stevens, Central, Douglas, and the Rapid City Rush, our team at Physio is building the best athletes in the Black Hills. If you have an athlete in the family, we offer long-term athlete development at affordable prices for middle and high school students. We also have the only board-certified sports PT in Rapid City. At our brand new facility, Physio is ready to help you perform at your best. One-on-one physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab, all at one place. Get started at bhphysio.com.
Hanging with Brian from Anytime Auto Sales. I see new models of stand-up and teardrop campers on your lot.
Yes, you do. We're proud to feature the new SGC Armor line of campers from Bontrager Outdoors. Bang for the buck, there's just nothing out there like these new super cool Armor campers and Bontrager teardrops.
And the suspension these campers have? Wow, so impressive.
All our campers come standard with the off-road package. Bontrager and Armor just ramped boondocking up another notch. And right now, you'll get the best price all year on these 2026 ultra-light, ultra-beefy, option-loaded campers and teardrops.
You gotta check out these new look campers, people. The new designs are fantastic, and so many options for their size.
And so many options for towing. No need for a diesel or a big truck. These only weigh around 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, so they can be towed by almost any rig.
Check out these new 2026 Bontrager and SGC Armor campers, everyone. See anytime.com, and as always, at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
All right, let's do this. Who's hot and who's not every night at this time. Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet, your locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch, the best buffet in town. Who's hot and who's not on the Nate Brown Show. In my Who's Hot, I love this basketball announcement. We heard that Rapid City Stevens and Rapid City Central will now be a part of the LNI basketball tournament next year. So that was announced here. Stevens and Central, girls and boys basketball, will be part of the Dakota Nation Invitational next year. What an opportunity. I love to see that. A great basketball event in Rapid City that's grown and grown every year. Now Stevens and Central will be in next year. In our Pizza Ranch Who's Not category, the Detroit Tigers. They had a 15-game lead last month. They're tied with Cleveland now. They're 1-9 in their last 10. The Tigers! Get it together! Thanks for listening. Chris is a Tigers fan, our loyal listener. Good luck, Chris. See you tomorrow.
Stock up for